Expanding the brackets. So there is some laws that we're going to need to use here to help us expand it. Now you don't have to remember them, only if you know how to do them. So here there's one that's called this distributive law. So if we've got something on the outside and something inside the bracket, then the only way to expand, and expand means get rid of the bracket, is to times the A with the B. So we get A times B. And because there's a plus here, which we never show, and a positive here as well, plus times plus is still plus, and then we've got to do A times the C. So that's the law there. Okay, so let's use it for this one here. Example 1, expand and simplify where possible. So the 4 has to be times by everything inside the bracket. So the first one is 4 times the F. Now you don't need to write this line. And then the 4 is positive, and there's a positive here. Plus times a plus is still a positive. And then it'll be 4 times a 3. So the answer is, and we need to work that out, 4 times F is 4F, and 4 times 3 is 12. Now it doesn't matter if there's letters on the outside and letters on the inside, we still do the same thing. That's a positive 3 here. So we do the 3R has to times by everything inside. So 3R times the 2R first. And then we do the 3R times the 3E. Now let's work out if it's positive or negative first. That's a positive 3R, and that's a negative. Positive times negative is negative. And then we got 3R times 3E. And now let's work this out. First one, 3R times 2R. 3 times 2 is 6. R times R is R squared. We already know this is going to be a negative. Let's work this part out. 3 times 3 is 9. And then there's an R and an E. We try and keep it in alphabetical order, so ER. All right, the C. Doesn't matter that there's 2. This is a term, and then we've got a minus, and this is a term. Let's do the first one. So let's do up to here first. 4A times A. 4A times A. And 4A times the negative 3, well, it's going to be negative 4A times 3. Let's do this one over here. And it's the negative 2 times the A. Negative 2 times the A. And since I can't fit the other one, I'm going to put it underneath. And negative 2 times the 5. Negative 2 times the 5. So this first one, 4A times A, well, that's supposed to be, I thought I changed the colour, is 4A squared. This next one, we've got a minus, and 4A times 3, so 4 3s are 12, and there's an A. Then we've got to do this one, and that is 2 times A is 2A, so minus 2A, and the last one is minus 2 times 5 is minus 10. So we've got to collect like terms. Now these two have got A's in them, so we have to work them out. So we get 4A squared, 12, negative 12A minus another 2 is negative 14A, and we still have the minus 10. Then there's another law, binomial expression. So here is when we have this type, a bracket and another bracket, and we have to expand it. So with this one, we times this A by everything in this second bracket. So we get A times the C, and then A times the D. And it's all positive, so I'm just going to leave it as positive, and that is plus. I'll write that again under here. AC plus AD. And now we're going to times this B by everything inside this bracket. So the first one with the first one, B times C, and then B times D. So this will give us B times C plus B times D. So that is known as the distributive law. And then you collect things that are the same. So example 2, expand these expressions. So the E first, we're going to times up everything in here. So E times F, and then the E times the negative 2. Well, positive E and a negative 2 gives me a negative, and 2 times E is 2E. Now we're going to do the 3, and it's positive 3 in here. So it's positive 3 times the F, so we get positive 3 times F, and it's positive 3 times the negative 2. Well, positive and a negative gives me a negative, 3 times 2 gives me 6. And now, if there's anything that's got the same, well, let's have a look. This is EF, and there's no other EFs there. This is just E, and there's nothing else that's just E, and this is F, and this is a number, so nothing else, so we leave it as it is. Part B. Again, we're going to times this first one by everything inside the bracket, and then this second one by everything inside the bracket. So let's do the first one, the 2m times the 3g. You don't need to write this line, I'm just going to write it. And then it's positive and a negative gives me a negative 2m times the 2. And then we're going to do the negative 3. A negative 3 times a positive 3g will give me a negative 3 times 3g. And a negative 3 times a negative 2, negative and a negative gives me a positive 3 times 2. So I've worked out my signs. Now, let's work them out. The first one, 2m times 3g gives me 6gm. Minus 2m times 2 is 4m. Minus 3 times 3 is 9g. And plus 3 2's are 6's. Now we're going to do this without writing any of the times. So remember, first one times the first one, everything in the bracket, and the second one times everything in the bracket. So 2p times 3d. 3 2's are 6dp. 2p times positive 5. Well, they're both positive, so that's fine. 5 times 2 is 10 with the p. Now I've got to do the second one. The negative 4r times the positive 3d will give me a negative 4 3's are 12, d and an r. Now we're going to do that one with a positive 5. A negative and a positive is a negative. 4 times 5 of the numbers, that's 20, and there's the letter R. And if I have a look, there's nothing here, 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 or here. That's the same, so we can't put them anything together. The third example, expand each expression, simplify where possible. So again, same rules. Expand the y with the y times y squared. Expand the y with the positive 4, positive and a positive is positive, 4 times y is 4y. Then we're going to do the negative 3. The negative 3 with the y, negative and a positive gives me a negative, 3 times y is 3y. The negative 3 with the 4, negative and a positive gives me a negative, 3 4's are 12. We can put these together because they're both y's. The other one's y squared, so we leave the y squared. Positive 4 yo-yos minus 3 yo-yos. So 4 yo-yos minus 3 yo-yos. I'm still left with 1 yo-yo. I don't need to write the 1. And I've got the minus 12. Let's do this one. The w times the w squared. The w times the negative 5, positive and the negative is a negative. W times 5 is 5w. Alright, the negative 3 now times the w. Negative and a positive is a negative. 3 times w is 3w. And the negative 3 times the negative 5, the negative and the negative becomes a positive. 3 times 5 is 15. Collect your like terms if there's any. There are. Negative 5w minus another 3w. So w squared stays as it is. This becomes negative 8w, because if we're at negative 5 and we've got to go negative 3, we've got to move that way, we've got to go to negative 8. plus your 15. Part C, 4y times 5y. Well, it's positive. 4 times 5 is 20. Y times y is y squared. The 4 times the negative 2. Positive times the negative is a negative. 4 2s are 8, and we've still got the y. Positive 3 times 5y. They're both positive, so positive. 3 5s are 15. Y. And the positive 3 times the negative 2. Positive and negative is negative. 3 2s are 6s. We do have these two that are the same. I thought I changed. So we've got 20y squared. We're at the negative 8, and we've got to go positive 15. So we've got to go that way 15 times. We're going to get to positive 7y, and we've still got the minus 6.